Hey everyone, this is Turd Flinging Monkey. Welcome to part 4 of Sun Tzu's The Art of War. Today's chapter is called Formation. And this is actually an extremely important chapter. This chapter actually concisely states why I started this series. So when we go through this chapter, you're going to understand exactly why I chose to dissect the art of war and exactly why the art of war is important for understanding where we find ourselves in this situation known as gynocentrism. So let's start with the first section. It says, in ancient times, those skilled in warfare made themselves invincible and then waited for the enemy to become vulnerable. Being invincible depends on oneself, but the enemy's vulnerability depends on himself. So the first principle to understand is you can only focus on yourself. So you make yourself invincible, and then you wait for your enemy to become vulnerable, and then you act. And we've already talked about preparations and calculations, and you go scorched earth and you hit them hard, fast, and continuously. But when do you attack? When they're vulnerable. So while you're waiting for them to fuck up and make a mistake and become vulnerable, you need to focus on yourself and you need to become invincible. Section 2. Those skilled in warfare can make themselves invincible, but cannot necessarily cause the enemy to be vulnerable. Therefore, it is said, one may know how to win, but cannot necessarily do it. And this is kind of like, this literally describes me. I know how to win, but I can't do it. I have the knowledge and the will, but I lack the power. If I had the knowledge, the will, and the power, it would already be done. For right now, all I have is the knowledge and the will, but I don't have the power to actually act. So section 3, one takes on invincibility defending, one takes on vulnerability attacking. One takes on sufficiency defending, one takes on deficiency attacking. Those skilled in defense conceal themselves in the lowest depths of the earth. Those skilled in attack move in the highest reaches of the heavens. Therefore, they are able to protect themselves and achieve complete victory. I mean, you see the pattern in this chapter. It's basically focus on yourself, shore your defenses, understand that when you are attacked, the person attacking you is making themselves vulnerable. Like our previous chapter, if you're outnumbered, you need to get the fuck out of there. Or you need to use the tactics we went over last time. You don't want to fight a battle you can't win. So if you're being rolled by superior numbers and you can't win, you shouldn't be there. But assuming, it's more or less equal, if they're attacking, you're defending, you have the advantage. So you just wait. Let the enemy attack you, you let them make themselves vulnerable, and then you fucking crush them.
I don't know if it's true, basically what Hannibal did during the Battle of Cannae. Well, it's different. But basically he pulled back his troops. I mean, like a crescent type formation. He pulled back his troops and then surrounded them. And then destroyed them like that. Yeah.
Yeah, here's the problem with Carthage, is they basically wanted to be left alone. So whenever they defeated Rome, they basically told Rome to leave them alone and then went back to what they were doing, which allowed Rome to rearm, retool, and come after them again. Mm-hmm. So what they should have done, they should have smashed Rome, burned it to the ground, and just destroyed it completely, and then obviously it would have been left alone then. So when you have the advantage, that's why we talked about, I think in chapter 2, you crush the enemy. You crush them mercilessly. You leave no blade of grass standing when you're done.
No prisoners.
Yeah, you crush them. That's all you have. Because look at what happened with Carthage. They defeated Rome, I think more than once too. There were several wars, but eventually Rome won. And when Rome won, they destroyed Carthage. So basically, Rome had the will to destroy Carthage, but Carthage didn't have the will to destroy Rome. So when Carthage won, they just went back to Carthage and said, Rome, leave us alone. Do your thing, leave us alone. But then when Rome defeated Carthage, they destroyed everything, killed everyone.
It's very much like how we do wars today.
Yeah, you gotta look, if you're gonna go to war, if somebody's fucked with you hard enough to cause you to declare war on them, then fucking end their shit. Don't fucking pussyfoot around and okay, we'll bomb you for a bit and then we'll rebuild your roads and your infrastructure, we'll give you democracy. No. You're giving them money for fucking with you. What kind of message does that send? Okay, so it's section 6. Perceiving a victory when it is perceived by all is not the highest intelligence. Winning battles such as the whole world cries excellent is not the highest excellence. For lifting an autumn down is not considered great strength. Seeing the sun and the moon is not considered a sign of sharp vision. Hearing thunder is not considered a sign of sensitive hearing. In ancient times, those who were skilled in warfare gained victory where victory was easily gained. Therefore, the victories from those skilled in warfare are not considered of great wisdom or courage, because their victories have no complications. No miscalculations mean the victories are certain, achieving victory over those who have already lost. Therefore, those skilled in warfare establish positions that make them invincible and do not miss opportunities to attack the enemy. So, okay, what they're saying is that if you want to be a good, excellent in warfare, which is the term used a lot in Art of War, your victory should be so absolute that it appears that, like, you didn't even do anything. Like, victory was so assured that nobody's even surprised you won. You destroyed them so effortlessly. It's like, well, of course you won. Anyone could have won. That shows how fucking badass you were. You just fucking completely just teabagged the enemy, and they couldn't do shit to stop you.
Yeah. So basically, along the lines of not engaging an enemy until you're certain of victory. That same thing that was covered in one of the earlier chapters. Well,
I mean, you can't be 100% certain of anything, but you do the calculations. If you're strong and they're weak, take their... Now, there could be deception. They could be deceiving you, appearing to be weak to lure you in. So you got to be careful of that. But yeah, you should go in there. You should be, invincible. You should shore up your defenses. You should focus on yourself. Again, from a previous chapter, you know your enemy and know yourself. You could study your enemy, but the one thing you have absolute control over is yourself. So you should always know yourself. And if you know yourself but don't even know your enemy, like the enemy's a complete mystery, you should still win about half the battles. But if you know yourself and your enemy, you're going to win every battle. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you know your enemy, you're going to know exactly when to attack and when not to attack. You're going to know their weaknesses and their strengths. So you're only going to attack when you know you're going to win. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to win every battle. There could be something crazy could happen. Deception could be involved. Who knows? Warfare is chaotic. But generally, you should think before you act. And you should only act when you're going to win. And if there's no avenue for victory, if there's no path to victory, you do not start a fight. Do not start shit you can't win. Do not pick a fight with someone you can't beat. I mean, this should be common sense. But you'd be amazed at how people, they think that's like, because my principles, they're like, we have to basically pick a fight now, even though we have no chance of victory. But it's the right thing to do. It's like, but we have no chance of victory. So you're basically you're wasting, at the very least, you're wasting time and mental faculties trying to implement some plan that is guaranteed to fail. Worst case scenario, you're getting people killed. You're having property and valuables and energy and all this shit just fucking destroyed for nothing, because it doesn't matter what you did or what you could have done. You had no way to win. So if you have no way to win, do not start shit. Just focus on yourself, shore up your defenses. You wait for the enemy to make a mistake. Now, go ahead.
It's like when Athens went after Syracuse. It was far. They didn't even need to go over there, but they ended up going over there and got pretty much their asses handed to them.
Yeah. So, it's what I talk about when I talk about like prepping for the collapse. So you focus on yourself. You become invincible. You look at the landscape, the political landscape, the social landscape, everything, the economic landscape, and you focus on yourself. You need to make sure your finances are in order, that you have skills, you're preparing for when shit goes down. That's all you can do. That's focusing on your defenses. Now, right now, you can't win. Now, when shit hits the fan, when society effectively collapses, and you're prepared and you're invincible, now the enemy is vulnerable. I mean, all these people, here's the problem. Just real talk. We're talking like, collapse scenario. So right now, obviously, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing anyone can do. The government, the police, the military, the entire system, top to bottom, would absolutely destroy anyone who tried to stand up to it. I mean, look at the UK. They just completely bailed on... The people voted for Brexit. And the EU told them, no, we don't like your vote. So we are going to throw out your vote and just pretend it didn't happen because we're the oligarchs. What can the people do? They can't do shit. They don't have guns. There's nothing they can do. All they can do is protest. But the government has already shown they don't care about their vote. So it doesn't matter. Like, you could protest all you want. The protests only work when you have like a democratic system where when you get people energized, they can affect change. But if the oligarchs have already decided that your democracy doesn't exist and they're just going to do what they want anyway, protests are worthless. But unfortunately, the UK, they gave up their right to bear arms and they're fucked. They literally have nothing they can do. So if you are in the UK, what do you do? What do? You protect yourself. Here's the thing, nothing lasts forever. Anything that can't last forever will inevitably stop being there. So right now you have this bloated welfare state. You have this government that's running all kinds of deficits. It's importing large amounts of incompatible societies. That's going to come to a head very soon. So what you should be doing is preparing. Either get the fuck out of there, or if you have to stay, you focus on yourself. You build up your defenses, socially, economically, everything, and then eventually, shit's gonna get real, and that is when the enemy is vulnerable. So these people who want to launch something now, like we gotta fight this now, we gotta blah blah blah. Like, no. First of all, I have a very strong monkey hunch that a lot of these people calling for action are FBI plants, because they do this. What they do is they plant assets into what are considered potentially extremist groups, and agents will try to rile up the groups to see who's an extremist within the group. So, guy will be like, "Oh, I'm ready to do something. Who's with me? Oh, I got a buddy who's, got a fucking moonshine farm and he can make some explosives for us and we'll all fucking do all kinds of fun shit." And then they see who in this group is open-minded to violence and terrorism. And then once they're like, "Okay, yeah, you're in. Okay, cool." So they start the little group of little domestic terrorists within this group, whether it's the alt-right, whether it's MGTOW, whether it's anything. And so then they arrange a meeting to go pick up the weapons so they can start their little revolution. And lo and behold, there's an FBI sting. And it turns out the guy who was recruiting you the entire time was an FBI asset. And his whole job was to go into these potentially extremist groups to weed out the extremists among them. So just so you know, anytime you hear someone in either, whether it's MGTOW, whether it's the alt-right, whether it's anybody talking about fucking rising up, revolution, rebellion, domestic terrorism, any of that shit, I want you to ask yourself, well, don't even ask yourself, they're probably an FBI plant. All right, that's a good rule of thumb. They're an FBI plant. They're there to weed out people who are basically threats to American security, and that's their job. They're trying to keep America safe. They're trying to prevent another like Las Vegas shooter, another fucking 9/11. They're trying to keep people safe. They're not the bad guys. And the thing is, it works. That tactic works. But don't be that guy. Don't be the guy that follows the siren song of this faux revolutionary FBI plant and then goes to prison for, a conspiracy to commit terrorism. Because no one gives a shit at that point. And they'll have everything you say in social media or email. It will all be recorded. It will all be used against you in a court of law, and you will spend the rest of your life behind bars. So, violence is not the answer. Revolution, coups, domestic terrorism, no. 100% no. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. I mean, anything you say online, it's not private. So if you think you're going to organize anything, you're wrong. I promise you, you're wrong. So just put that out of your mind. However, what happens when the government runs out of money? What happens when shit hits the fan? What happens when there is no government effectively? When the government goes into its little mine.
No more spies.
Right. Well, yeah. No one's getting paid. It's like, have you ever seen, that episode of Rick and Morty where Rick took out the economy of the Federation? And they all just started killing each other because there was no money. Like, yeah, well, the point is once the government has no money, they can't afford to pay all these people to police everybody because police don't work for free. What's going to happen is all the people who have the weapons are just going to become warlords. The military, the police are just going to become warlords because they have weapons. They're going to protect they're going to protect themselves, and they're going to protect their own. They don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about what the law says, what a piece of paper says. They don't give a fuck. I mean, it's kill or be killed. So at that point, now, only then do you act. Basically, when the government is done anyway, because now the government's, again, you focus on yourself. You become invincible. You improve yourself. You develop skills to survive. Or just get the fuck out. Find another country to live in, honestly. That's probably the better solution. But if you absolutely are dead set on staying in a country that's facing collapse, then you focus on yourself. You focus on your survival. So, Section 12. Therefore, a victorious army first obtains conditions for victory, then seeks to do battle. A defeated army first seeks to do battle and obtains conditions for victory. Those skilled in warfare cultivate the way and preserve the law. Therefore, they govern victory and defeat. The factors in warfare are: first, measurement; second, quantity; third, calculation; fourth, comparison; and fifth, victory. Measurements are derived from ground, quantities are derived from measurement, calculations are derived from quantities, comparisons are derived from calculations, and victories are derived from comparisons. A victorious army is like a ton against an ounce. A defeated army is like an ounce against a ton. The victorious army is like pent-up water released, bursting through a deep gorge. This is formation. I mean, all we can do is hope. All we can do is hope that when the dust settles, the right people survive and rebuild society in the right way. That's what we're talking about. That benefits the individual. But it could just as easily be a bunch of, the worst people imaginable trying to basically create some dictatorship, making statues and pyramids in their honor, enslaving everyone. I mean, the nature of chaos is that it's unpredictable. However, this is why men who care about their freedom need to be the ones preparing. Because the people who, honestly, if you look at the people who are the worst offenders, talking like the fucking bottom of the barrel scum, like, they are not going to survive a year. They are not going to survive shit. They're completely...
They won't survive 6 weeks.
They're completely addicted to their welfare checks. If their welfare check is a day late, they'll fucking start rioting. They will
because they don't have the skills.
So they're gonna take care of themselves. Frankly, they're not the problem, and that's a good thing. So if men who value freedom and understand what the problem is focus on themselves, strengthening their defenses, both socially, financially, economically, everything. Focus on yourself. Become invincible. How do you become invincible? Fucking learn survival skills. Go your own way.
Become a prepper.
Become a prepper. Become a MGTOW. This is how you protect yourself. You prepare and you protect yourself, and then hopefully, when shit hits the fan, and most of the problem people will kill themselves very quickly, I might add. And then it's going to
motto.
Yeah, and then it's going to be then it's fucking hockey mask time. And that's when you act. That is when you act. You are strong and they are weak. And that is Purge Day. And then Purge Day, it will be a very bad day for many people. But hopefully after Purge Day, we'll have Rebuilding Day. And if enough men who are preppers, who are MGTOW, who are red-pilled, who understand what the problem is, who value individuality and freedom, survive, then we have a very good chance of being, because I always talk about, like, I want someone, the right man, in the right place at the right time. The men who rebuild society, if they're red-pilled, that's all I want. That's my dream. That will validate my life if the men who rebuild society are red-pilled. And so that is why I'm doing the series. That is why my channel exists. I'm trying to build that group of men. I'm not trying to build like a 51% majority of men. That's never going to happen. But we don't need a 51% majority. Not right now. After shit hits the fan, we need to be the ones who survive and rebuild. And then we can create a better world for everyone. But anyway, that is chapter 4. Formation. Any final thoughts, comments, questions, emotional outbursts?
I do have a question.
What's up?
So, okay, so we've been actually talking about how this goes into the grander scale. However, how does this tie into your personal life? Because everything you talk right now, it has tied into my personal life. So I just wanted to know how it ties into your personal life.
Well, the first part, basically, those skilled in warfare can make themselves invincible, but cannot necessarily cause the enemy to be vulnerable. So you have to understand, people use the word culture war a lot. I know we talk about gynocentrism, the war against men and masculinity. Those are a little bit hyperbolic, but they're really not. There is a war against men and masculinity. There is a war, like trying to promote this bonobo bullshit to try to cause female domination. So there is a war against you. However, you can't cause your enemy to be vulnerable. And right now, the enemy is not vulnerable. The enemy has all the power. So what can you do? You have to make yourself invincible. Again, those skilled in warfare can make themselves invincible. That's what you should be focusing on. You can't, this is the problem I get into debates with these MRAs and everybody who tell me I'm not doing enough to fix the problem. Going MGTOW isn't solving the problem, TFM. Fucking your sex doll isn't going to fix Western civilization, TFM. What are you doing to save Western civilization, TFM? I can't defeat the enemy now. What I'm trying to do...
You're doing more than they are.
Well... I appreciate that.
Because you're talking about it, which is what we all need to be doing. Talking about it.
Well, it's more than just talk. You need to take action.
Preparing.
Yeah, but not. I'm not talking about violent action. Like sedition or anything. No, again,
or
no.
Protesting or
right, all that shit. Right.
Blah.
Again, Section 2. Those skilled in warfare can make themselves invincible. That is the action I'm asking you to take. I'm not asking you to protest. I'm not asking you to fucking do anything. Focus on yourself. Become invincible. Learn prepping skills. Go MGTOW. Protect yourself legally, socially, and economically. Because we need you to survive. If MGTOW men don't prepare and they die along with most of the general population, then we don't have a chance to be the men who can control how society is rebuilt afterwards. So MGTOW, more than any other group of men, have to focus on their survival. And the thing is, if you're MGTOW, you should already be valuing your survival. That's kind of the essence of MGTOW, is surviving and focusing on yourself and going your own way. So this should be obvious. But you just need to, don't just be like, oh, I'm walking away from women, I'm good. Because bad times are coming. It's not just about yes means yes and me too. Legitimate horror show bad times are coming with an H, not a W. Anyway, yeah, so that's chapter 4. So chapter 5 is going to be force. That'll be fun. We will discuss chapter 5 next time on Sun Tzu's The Art of War.